Ambassador Michael Oren joined us now with a closer look at these latest developments. He's Israel's former ambassador to the U.S. Thank you so much for joining us. You wrote in an article in the Times of Israel saying the war with Hamas is forcing us to decide between Israel's body and our nation's soul. Talk more about that and the dilemma that Israel faces right now.
Good to be with you. Good morning. It's this. Israel came into being in 1948 with two promises. One was to defend the land of Israel from attacks, and Israel was attacked the day of its creation by 6 Arab armies, and we defeated them. We defended the land. But Israel also makes a promise to its citizens to defend those citizens. We send our kids to the army knowing that should those kids fall prisoners, the state will do everything in its power to bring them back. So this war with Hamas has caught us right between those two identities. Do we defend our land or we defend our citizens? Because if we do not defend our land, there are some 250,000 Israelis who have been rendered homeless by this war. They will not be able to go back to their homes along the border, knowing that there's terrorists just on the other side who are preparing the next wave. And Hamas says that very openly. We're going to attack again and again and again. And every enemy we have in the region, particularly the Iranians, will say, well, we can attack Israel with impunity. And every time Israel tries to respond and defend itself, it will be smacked with a ceasefire and won't be able to defend itself. So that's one choice. The other choice is if Israel doesn't do everything to get the hostages back, then future mothers and fathers will hesitate to send their kids to that army to defend us if the government doesn't prove it's going to do everything to get the hostages back. So it's either not having people go to the army or not having a state that has an army at all. And that's a terrible, terrible choice. I can't think of any other government in history that had to make such a terrible choice.
Let's talk about what we have seen on the ground in terms of Israel's military action that's taken place within the Gaza Strip. Do you think that there is a way that Israel is open to reframing the potential next phase? Let's say once these ceasefires expire, once these hostage exchanges kind of go as far as they can, what do you think the next military campaign in Gaza is going to look like? And what do you think it means to ensure civilians are better protected? Is that possible?
Well, that's an excellent question. And I addressed that question in that same article. At the end, I said there's actually a third way out. And the third way is this. Ancient history, 1982, when Israel laid siege to Beirut and fighting the PLO, we gave the PLO an out. We said, get on a boat. All the terrorists get on a boat and go somewhere. They went to Tunis. And we'll lift the siege. Well, you can have a similar situation here. If Hamas says, oh, we surrender, and by the way, the minute Hamas says, surrender, this whole nightmare ends. It's the Israeli nightmare and the Palestinian nightmare ends when Hamas says, okay, we surrender. And Israel lets the terrorists, and there are tens of thousands of them, get on boats and go somewhere, Algeria, Libya, someplace suitably horrible, and releases the hostages. And then this entire war ends. Whether Hamas would go for that, I kind of doubt it. I think Israel would. I have I can't adduce any sort of statistical evidence, but I think the vast majority of Israelis would go for that deal. So I think it should be explored, certainly.
Obviously, for Israel, bringing the hostages home is a primary goal. Top leaders in Israel have also said destroying Hamas is a major goal. In your mind, is eliminating Hamas the only solution? Is there another way out of this conflict?
No, I think destroying Hamas is the only solution. The question is, how is it done? And I understand the Biden administration has been very keen in asking Israel to conduct our strikes more surgically. I think we're conducting as surgically as humanly possible right now. 3 of my own assistants in Gaza are in Gaza right now, and they tell me what it's like being there and being an Israeli soldier. I mean, if Israel really wanted to destroy Hamas, it could do it just by flattening Gaza, not sending the army in at all, and not risking our soldiers' lives, and not trying to move the Palestinians, civilians, away from the combat area. Hamas is always going to try to hide behind those civilians. We asked the civilians to move to the south. Many moved to the south. Hamas has now infiltrated the south and is hiding behind them. There's no quick fix here. But keep in mind, the one thing Hamas wants above all else, and you'll see it again and again, they want the ceasefire. Because the ceasefire means Hamas wins. It means that Hamas gets away with mass murder. And it means that large swaths of Israel become uninhabitable. And Israel loses. So it really comes down to that ceasefire. And even these temporary ceasefires, and we're delighted to have these hostages home. I'm in daily contact with hostage families, and they're all waiting to see if their loved ones are on the next list. That is so, so crucial. On the other hand, we have no illusions that Hamas is using these ceasefires to reorganize, re-equip, to re-booby trap Gaza, and we're going to get hostages' lives. We're also going to lose soldiers' lives. It's another horrible decision we have to make. And we have to ensure that the long-term ceasefire does not go into effect, because then that really means we lose.
Ambassador Michael Oren, Israel's former ambassador to the U.S., thank you for your time this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you.